not entirely sure where to start with this video. This is definitely not the easiest thing for me to film. I have spent a lot of time on camera over the last few years, but I want to talk about something very different than anything I have talked about before. So I'm going to need to back up and start from the beginning and give you a little brief history about Lindsay growing up. So when I was in high school, it was the early 2000s, and what was popular at the time was the stick, skinny, kind of supermodel look. Curves were out. Kim K did not have her heyday. So I was thin. I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was fat. But I had big boobs, big butt, kind of curvy. I had the hips, and I desperately wanted the hips to go away. I thought they made me fat, and I thought I was big, and I didn't understand that I couldn't change my body shape to be something else. Like, that just was my body shape, and there was nothing I could do about it, and it didn't mean that I was fat, but in my head, I was fat, and in my head, fat was the worst thing you could possibly be, was fat. Like, that is the worst possible thing in the world, was to be fat. I thankfully have come a very, very long way. If you're familiar with anything that I have posted or talked about over the last 3 to 4 years, I've had a little Instagram. Occasionally I do YouTube videos, and but mostly I'm over on Instagram talking about makeup and family and body positivity a lot of the time. And that is because it makes me happy. And I haven't let the fact that I now am a very plus size lady, to put it bluntly, I am morbidly obese. It's just a fact. And I am actually kinder and more loving on myself for how I look now than I ever was in high school, which is just baffling to me that, something that caused me so much pain, weight, now I am that monster that I thought I was in high school, and I don't hate myself for it. And part of what has brought me to this place is body positivity. That whole movement that we've kind of had for the last few years, where people are more open about, here's what a normal body looks like. It's okay when you sit down to have rolls. It's okay if you're bigger. And that was really healing for me. I was able to kind of look at that, even though I was kind of more an adult when I discovered a lot of this. I was able to kind of go back and heal my younger self and come to terms with a lot of the hate and negative talk that I gave to myself during those times. I have been so grateful for body positivity, for health at every size, for those ideas. However, I started to run into some issues when my weight went from just being plus size to and obese, but to morbidly obese, to the point where now my weight holds me back, which I hate saying, because I make it an effort to be the person whose weight doesn't hold her back. I don't let it stop me from wearing the makeup or clothes that I want to wear. I don't let it stop me from putting on a swimsuit and getting in the pool every day with my kids. There are so many things that I've done and have felt empowered to do, in part because of the examples I have of body positivity on the internet, that even though I don't have, a perfectly thin, healthy body, that I haven't let it stop me. However, unfortunately, there are things that are outside of my control, and I've realized that there is a limit to, in my mind, to the health at every size, and I'm at a size where I cannot be healthy, and I can't pretend any longer that that is the case. So this puts me in a difficult position, because I am now trying to decide, how do I deal with the fact that my weight is causing me issues? I developed severe sleep apnea. I probably had it for years. I only discovered that I had it last year. And I was able to get the help that I needed and get on a machine for that. It was bad. I was having 30 episodes an hour, which is basically every 2 minutes I would stop breathing in my sleep. So that is not like a little thing. That's kind of a big deal. And then other things, just mobility. Like, it is hard to tie my shoes. I have to hold my breath. I can barely bend down, and with kind of the way my body is, I can barely reach my feet. I haven't been able to paint my toenails for years. It's just not really something I can do. That's not a big deal. So there were these little things that weren't a big deal that I was like, I can live with this. But they all added up, and they kept adding up to the point where I was spending my life literally on the sidelines, on the couch, not because I thought I had to because I was fat, but because I had no choice because I was fat. And not just chubby, not just a little plus size, but morbidly obese. Like, I feel like it's important to be like honest about that. And now I came to a place where I had to decide, what do I do about this? I was finally ready to make a change. However, I didn't want to go back to that diet culture that I felt like had just really messed with my head back in the low fat everything and calorie counting, and just I have done that. I have ridden that wave so many times in my life, and I had finally gotten off of it and thought I was in a good place. And it just, so on the one hand, the health at every size isn't working. I don't want to say body positivity isn't working, because it is, and I'm positive about my body, and I don't hate myself because I'm fat, but that doesn't mean I don't also want to change myself and get more healthy. But then I don't want to flip to the other side. So where do I go from here? So that was something that was kind of on my mind for a long time. And I knew I needed to break the cycle. I couldn't go back to my old ways, and I couldn't stay where I was. That's when a little thought came into my head. And it was a thought that was something I never in a million years would have thought that I would do. And it was something that if I had heard somebody else was doing, probably even just a year ago, I probably would have been very judgmental about it. And just claimed it was something I would never choose for myself. But I decided to just see if I was wrong. And I began researching, and I began studying, and I learned that there was a lot I didn't know about this thing before. And I've been hesitant to share about this because it's very polarizing. I don't know why this is making me emotional, but before I share it, just know that if you have strong opinions about it, I get it. And it's okay. Be gentle with me, because what's done is done, and there's no going back. The one side of the argument will say that what I've done is cheating. The other side of the argument will say what I've done is mutilation. But I see it as my best chance to regain health, to be the mom I want to be to my kids, to be able to move around without being tired and winded constantly, to be able to get my life back, to be my old self again. So, a few days ago, I had weight loss surgery. And I feel hopeful that this is going to be a huge blessing in my life. And I'm finally ready to open up and talk about this. It's something I've been working on for the last 6 months very intensely behind the scenes. And it's something that I will continue to have to work on very hard throughout this whole year. I plan to dedicate 2021 to making the most of this weight loss surgery. The procedure I had done is called a SATI. It's also called a duodenal switch, but it's a modified version. It's sort of like, I'll go into the details maybe later if people are interested in, but just briefly, it's essentially kind of a mix between gastric bypass and gastric sleeve, if you know what any of those are. And what I need to focus on for the rest of the year is basically starting my nutrition from scratch. I am currently on an all liquid diet as my stomach heals and I can tolerate more and more things. And I want to rebuild that foundation of nutrition in healthy habits, things that are sustainable. And I don't want to ever resort to, hopefully never want to resort back to any extreme diets or anything. And I know that weight loss surgery sounds extreme, and so you might be shaking your head and wondering how I can say both of those things at the same time. I get it. I do. I've been there, but this is where I am now, and I wanted to be open about it. I'm a very open person. It's hard for me to be quiet about things, and it was hard for me to kind of keep this quiet, but it's something that I needed to sit with for the last 6 months as I've been working towards this, and I'm finally ready to talk about it. So just remember, I'm a human with feelings, and be gentle. If you have negative feelings about it, I get it. I used to have them, and that's fine. But this is where I'm at. This is me. So don't quite know how to end this, but so that is my big news, and I've been scared to share it, but I'm glad that I'm finally opening myself up to talk about this. So again, please be gentle with me as I start sharing about this a little bit. Don't know how much I'll share. Might be very little, might be a lot. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling and how the feedback is. So ultimately, though, that's the situation. I had weight loss surgery. It's out there. I can't take it back now. Now you guys know. Anyways, hope you have a good day. See ya.